We are sitting here with David. He will explain his name. David, explain your name.
My name is David HaIvri. David is David, like King David. And HaIvri is the Hebrew. Ivri, or Ivrit, is Hebrew. The Hebrew language is Ivrit. And Ha is the. So HaIvri is the Hebrew.
Okay, very nice. And
that's like Abraham from the Bible was Avraham HaIvri. Abraham was the first Hebrew. I have lived here with my wife Mali for the past 25 years at Kfar Tapuach. We have 8 children. We have 6 girls and 2 boys. Both of our boys are in the military, in the IDF. Our oldest son, Maccabi, has just completed his 3-year mandatory service, and now he is in the reserves. And our younger son, Kfar, is in the middle of his military service. This past week, he did the paratroop training. He jumped from the plane with the parachute. So we are very proud of our children.
But are you not a little bit worried?
Oh, of course, every parent is worried about his children. And we are glad that our children are investing their time or volunteering to protect the land of Israel and the people of Israel. And they are dedicated and doing a very important work in the military, and we take pride in that. So, of course, we are concerned and worry about our children's safety, but we rather worry about our children's safety when we know that they are doing something very important for our people and for our land. And not like other parents who worry about their children where they might be in trouble, in bad places. We are glad that we worry, but that our children are in good places.
Okay. And where do you live? Well, what's the name of this place? Of settlement, what would you like to call it?
Yes, this town is called Kfar Tapuach, and we do not call this a settlement, although when you read in the media, in the international press, and they speak about our town, or when they speak about people like myself, they use those terms, the terminology settlements, and they call Jewish people who live here in the Samaria, they call that the West Bank, and they call that Jewish settlements in the West Bank. We don't consider ourselves settlements. We consider ourselves towns, like anywhere else in Israel or anywhere else in the world. This town, Kfar Tapuach, has about 220 or 230 families. When we came here 25 years ago, there were only 30 families. So we've seen this town grow and grow and grow. There are about 1,600 people who live in the town. Today, after seeing the town grow over the past 25 years, we now have educational institutions for our children, which was not always the case. And we have this beautiful playground behind us. And the other side, we have a sports center and a basketball court. And around us, we have a nursery school, and we have 3 kindergartens, 2 from age 3 to 4, 1 from age 4 to 5, and 1 from age 5 to 6. And now we also have a school for grades 1, 2, and 3. And next year, we'll have grade 4 too. Every year, we started with grade 1, and every year, the grade moves up, and we bring in a new class. Our community is a religious community. We are Torah-observant Jewish people. We observe the Shabbat on the 7th day. On the 7th day, our town is closed. We have no traffic, no cars. We don't use the radio or smoke cigarettes. So the town is very quiet, and people spend quality time with their families, and they go to the synagogue to pray and have festive meals with the family and learn Torah on Shabbat. So that is particular for a religious community in Israel. In the Shomron, there are communities that are religious, like this one. There are communities that are all secular, like Barkan, and there are towns that are mixed, that have religious and secular. So the religious people observe the Shabbat, and the non-religious people do not observe the Shabbat, but they all live in the same town.
It's not so extreme as we know, we think in Europe. It's very pleasant to be here.
Many journalists who report on Israel and on the situation in Judea and Samaria, which they call the West Bank, many of those journalists come with an agenda to show Israel in bad light. And all of their stories are slanted against Israel. So many people who read about Israel in the news have a negative picture, a negative image of the reality here. And I'm glad that you have been here and that you observe that it's very peaceful, it's pleasant, it's very beautiful. There are families and children and educational institutions and playgrounds and sports and just regular people, like everywhere else, who are involved in their lives and raising their families and providing bread for their families to put on the table. And in our case here in Israel, we are Jewish people who are glad that in this generation we are able to live in our own country, in our own historical, ancestral homeland, to have a sovereign state of Israel. This was not always the case. For nearly 2,000 years, the Jewish people were in exile. We were as guests in host countries spread out around the world. And sometimes we were not oppressed, but very often we were oppressed by the host countries, by the nations amongst whom we lived. And throughout the ages, while we were in exile, the Jewish people prayed to God 3 times every day in our prayer book, in our synagogues, in our homes, on the street. When we say a blessing on the meal, on the food, we prayed to God. We said, Hashem, have mercy on the children of Israel and bring us back to our homeland. That was the prayer for 2,000 years. But today, we are back on our homeland. We have our sovereignty. We have our government. We have our army. We have our currency, our shekel. We speak our biblical language, Hebrew, as a spoken language in the street and in the schools. So it's a huge privilege for the Jewish people today to be able to experience this, to be again a sovereign nation on our own homeland. I think that it's very, very important that people from Europe, from Netherlands, from all countries in Europe who are interested in knowing the truth, in knowing the reality, should come here and see for themselves. Because much of the information that they are receiving from the regular media is based on propaganda against Israel. And I think that if people come here and they see this for themselves and they meet with the people who live here on the ground, they will have a better understanding of why it's important to support Israel being here. Not only to support the state of Israel, but to support Israel's claim on Judea and Samaria. To understand that the West Bank, so they call it, is actually the heartland of Israel. The West Bank is not an extension of Israel into foreign lands. This area, Judea and Samaria as we call it, or the West Bank as it's quoted in the media, this is the heartland of Israel. When we read in the Bible about the people of Israel, the fathers of our nation, who walked in this land, all of the places that the Bible mentions are here in Judea and Samaria. We have a main road in Judea and Samaria from north to south, and it touches all of these biblical locations that we read about in the Bible. Elon Moreh, Shechem, even Kfar Tapuach is mentioned in the Bible. Ophrah, Shiloh, Jerusalem, Bethlehem, Ephrat, Hebron, Beersheba are all on this road, Road 60. The only one location that is outside of the so-called West Bank is Beersheba. All of the other biblical locations are here in Judea and Samaria or the West Bank. If we understand this, if we come and see this for ourselves, then we can understand that the core of Zionism, the core of Israel's national claim to our homeland is here in Judea and Samaria.
What are you doing for a living?
I work very hard for a living.
I presume, yes.
Yes. I speak. I'm a public speaker.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes. Yes.
And I write.
Yeah.
and I publish articles and books, and I do strategic consulting. I help organizations and people build connections from around the world with relevant connections in Israel, in business, in politics, in religion, for tours. So I am available on all of the means of social media, on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, and I have a website, and people can interact with me, and I help them build the connections with Israel.
Because you are a tour guide, but a special one, eh? I thought.
I am more of an educator than a tour guide in particular. There are specific issues in Israel that I am an expert in, for instance, Judea and Samaria. And in Judea and Samaria, I can take guests to meet the politicians, the regional director, the mayor of the Shomron, to meet the professors in the university in Ariel, to meet the directors of industry in Barkan, the winemakers. Because I have these connections, these personal connections, I can take people from around the world into Judea and Samaria to meet the movers and shakers firsthand, and to ask questions and to learn about the reality here.
So it is very important for politicians to contact you so they get the knowledge to decide.
Yes, yes, I can be a resource for decision makers, for influential people, for media, to get directly to the people they need to meet here on the land and to see the sites. You know, it's you know yourself as a media person that there's much research that needs to be done in order to find the particular person who can be interviewed, can provide the information. And being that I'm here on the ground, I know all of those people. So I can save a lot of effort and pain for a journalist to get directly to the person they need to speak with.
Tell me something about Hasbara.
The people of Israel, the government, the Zionist organizations, make a great effort in Hasbara. Hasbara is a Hebrew term. It means explaining. The people of Israel, because we're up against so many anti-Israel organizations who are trying and working hard to make a bad image of Israel, Israel puts an effort into explaining that we are good in order to gain support for Israel. So there's a concept, or I would even say a movement of Hasbara, of people who speak out for Israel, which basically is a good thing. My issue with the conventional Hasbara is that all of the issues that they are explaining on Israel, all of the popular nice issues, and I'll point to some of them, are not particularly the issues that Israel is being questioned on. The anti-Israel propaganda machine are saying that Israel occupies someone else's land, that Israel is oppressing the Palestinians, that Israel is not allowing the two-state solution, and so forth, that Israel is attacking Gaza. And the Hasbara concept is showing beauty of Israel. Israel is a leader in technology. So with our genius, we are developing mechanisms that are saving lives and exist in hospitals around the world. So Israel is so great. We're helping people, we're helping hospitals, we're helping save people, and for that reason, we're saying you should support Israel. Or Israel provides humanitarian aid. if there's ever a natural disaster in Haiti or in Japan or in Turkey, Israel is very quick to load up huge planes with staff from the army emergency teams, the IDF emergency teams, with the Israeli flags and with millions of dollars of life-saving equipment at the expense of Israel, goes up in the air and with hours lands in Nepal or in Turkey or in Japan or wherever it might be. And so we're showing that off to the world, and we're saying, we're so kind, we're providing humanitarian aid, so you should support Israel. And that too is nice, it's very nice, and it's true, but Israel is not being attacked because we do or do not provide humanitarian aid. We're being attacked because we are in Judea and Samaria. And what I am saying is that we need to explain and to show our claim to Judea and Samaria. And the mainstream Hasbara is not doing that. The mainstream Hasbara is afraid that those issues are too contested, that is too much of a debate. But that causes a problem where the discussion is not meeting. Those who are assaulting Israel are saying occupation. And those who are protecting Israel are saying, we're nice, we provide humanitarian aid. They're even saying, we're beautiful. Come to the beach in Tel Aviv and see these beautiful girls in bikinis and have a nice cold beer and enjoy your day. So support Israel. And that's wonderful. Okay, so we have beautiful girls in bikinis, but that's not the reason people should be supporting Israel's claim. So what I'm saying is that we need to open up Judea and Samaria for tourism, for decision makers, for journalists. We need to help people come out here and to see for themselves all of the different acts of the reality, to see what, this is a settlement. You say settlement, look around you. You see these homes, you see the playground, the schools. That's what you're talking about. It's not a temporary trailer home that you see on the picture in the New York Times. That's not the true reality. The true reality is that there's permanent existence of Jewish communities here. And when they say in the media that we've occupied someone else's land, come and hear our description. This is our ancestral homeland. This is where the Bible occurred. And get some proportion to understand the situation.
Why does the Christian not see the heartland, but they see Tel Aviv, Haifa, Jerusalem, and Eilat?
I think that we are dealing with a situation where there's a disconnect between what people are reading in the media and between what Christians are reading in their Bible. Because many Christians support Israel because they read in the Bible that God gave the land of Israel to the Jewish people. So they understand that. They understand that according to the faith, according to the book, this is the land of the Jewish people. And then they read in the newspaper, wherever they might be, that Israel is occupying the West Bank and that there needs to be a two-state solution and that Israel conquered the West Bank and so forth. And they're not overlapping the map of what they're reading in the Bible with the map that they're reading in the newspaper. So when they read about in the Bible that God gave the land of Israel to the Jewish people, they're thinking about Tel Aviv, because they see in the media that Israel is Tel Aviv, and Haifa, and Jerusalem, and they're not realizing that the map of the Bible is exactly here in Judea and Samaria. And that's part of what I am trying to do by bringing people out to see the reality on the ground. Because when we take Christian people who have read the Bible and are familiar with the biblical terms, and we go to Mount Gerizim, and we learn about the blessing and the curse that occurred there, and we look down and see the city of Shechem, where Joseph was buried, and we look down and we see the refugee camp in Balata, then they realize, oh, this is the same place. The West Bank is actually the heartland of Israel that we read about in the Bible. Only then is it coming together. So there is a natural support of many Christians for Israel's claim, for the claim of the Jewish people to the land of Israel. The problem is that many people are not connecting what they're reading in the Bible with what they're reading in the newspaper. So through physically experiencing this, this will help many people make that connection. Of course, the best is for people to actually come here and stand on the ground.
Yes. May I thank you for this very good interview with you.
Thank you. Come again.